I knew I wanted to go abroad to a Spanish-speaking country, and I knew I wanted to become fluent in Spanish. I ended up choosing Santiago. I was primarily interested in Latin America, more so than European or Spanish culture, and it seemed like it would be a good fit. Before I went, I was trying to figure out who I was going to have help me in the morning or throughout the day, because I knew that their apartment wasn't going to be accessible. And I remember when I told my host mom, is it okay if I bring someone in to help me? She said, absolutely not. She's like, you are my daughter while you're here. She's like, if you were my child, I would help you with anything you needed in the house. She's like, I would arrange my schedule for you. She was really helpful, always there when I needed anything. And my host brother and my host sister were also great. My host sister's boyfriend built me a ramp so I could get on and off the metro. And my host brother took me to a movie with his friends and took me out. So they ended up being part of one of the best things about my experience in Santiago. And I talked to the housing director before I left, talked to her about my needs physically in terms of how big the doorways had to be for me to get through them, how high the bed had to be, the turning radius of my chair, what rooms I could fit in and out of, if I could use a key to open a door, if there was going to need to be a doorman at the apartment, the fact that I would need an elevator to get up and down the stairs. It was really through the housing director in Santiago that I was lucky to make such a great connection with my host family. I remember the first time that I showed up at the metro station, it was 1 or 2 elevators to get down to the platform level, and the first train that showed up was about 6 inches above the platform. I was like, okay, there's no way I'm getting on that train. So I waited, and a couple trains later, the next one was level, and it turned out that only certain trains would be level and other ones wouldn't. And there were a number of times where 4 or 5 Chilean men would come up and just lift my chair, my power chair, which is 350 pounds, up onto the train over the ledge that was 5 or 6 inches. That was kind of the adventure of getting to class. The program was really receptive to the idea of me studying abroad. I was a little bit nervous. I talked to the OIE before I went in terms of, have there been students in wheelchairs that have studied abroad before? Where have they gone? How did they prepare? How were they received when they got there? When I emailed the overseas staff, I wasn't sure how they were going to respond, but they were very enthusiastic. They said anything that we need to do to make sure that you can come here, we will do. We want everyone to be able to experience the abroad programs. And by the end of the time I stayed there, I was showing up at inaccessible metro stops in my manual chair to meet friends, and I would just get off the metro and sit at the bottom of the stairs, and within a few minutes, there would be a number of Chileans offering to carry me up the stairs. One of the highlights I would say was the first trip my friends and I took when we were in Santiago, when we were all so excited and it was so new and we made so many mistakes, but it was still so much fun. I remember I paid for the bus ride, and by the time I got off the bus, I was like, that was worth the fare. Even if Mendoza is terrible, the bus ride through the Andes was incredible. I'd never seen anything like it. We were winding in and out of the mountains for far longer than it was supposed to take. It was supposed to take 8 hours. It probably took 11. But that's South America for you. Everyone's trying to kind of acclimatize there and get their bearings and figure out the Spanish and figure out their homestay. And I was doing all that, but there was kind of the added variable of accessibility. And one of the things that I am most adamant about, and I have been since I've been in a chair, have been working towards independence and trying to be independent as I can. And so I've worked really hard at Stanford to not need help from other people, to be able to get myself ready in the morning, get myself to bed at night, shower and use the bathroom by myself. And it felt like kind of a regression going to Santiago and needing people's help for things that I had worked so hard to be able to do by myself at Stanford. And one of the other things that I've been pretty adamant about throughout the time that I've been in a chair is that I've kept my kind of personal care and my personal needs really separate from my friendships. And this was kind of one of the first times where I had to ask my friends for help with things that typically I had kept separate or had not even talked to them about. One of the biggest challenges, aside from just the physical aspects of navigating the city, was kind of the mental or emotional aspects. I went to Santiago hoping to improve my Spanish, hoping to meet a lot of new people, and I did both those things. But I think I got a lot out of the program that I didn't expect. And as a disabled American, I don't really think about the ADA or disability rights movement or anything like that, especially since I wasn't born disabled and I acquired a disability through an injury that just wasn't part of my upbringing. I was never really involved in the disabled community, but I came away understanding a lot better what it's like to be disabled in a lot of the rest of the world, especially in second world countries, which Chile is. I ended up talking to the National Disability Council in Chile. They kind of explained to me that in the past, until last year in Chile, disabled people didn't have a lot of the rights that people in America have. So if you were disabled and the school in your neighborhood wasn't accessible, you didn't go to school. And so a lot of disabled people in Chile are uneducated. I've been blessed with a really supportive family and a really supportive group of friends. And because of that, I was able to get all around the city and really all around the country. I went to Atacama, I went to Patagonia, I went to Mendoza, I went to the beach, I went everywhere. I went to Valparaiso, Viña del Mar. And there are people who are in wheelchairs in Chile that can't even get around the city because they don't have people to help them get on and off the metro, to carry them up and down, in and out of restaurants and stores and bars and up and down curbs and all the things that I was able to do because I had such a supportive group of people with me. Oh, I remember I was in the metro once and I was talking to Chilean in Spanish, and he said, "You're not Chilean, are you?" And I said, "No." I said, "Can you tell from my accent?" And I was a little disappointed because I had been working on my accent. And he said, "No, your accent's good." He said, "I can't tell from your accent. I can tell because you're out here alone." And I was like, "What?" And he said, "You're out and you're in a wheelchair and you're alone." I'd say to anyone who's thinking about going abroad, it's the best experience that I've had at Stanford. I can't say enough good things about it. And yeah, it was really challenging, and yeah, there were a lot of bumps in the road. I think that's par for the course for anyone in South America, to be honest. And there were a lot of things that were unexpected, and you can't plan for everything, but it was still one of the best experiences I've had. And I remember before I went, I set the goals for myself to be patient, creative, and flexible. And I think that if you keep those things in mind, you really can't go wrong.